All right, hello and welcome to the FAQ Shack. This is the show where we tackle your burning questions about, well, pretty much anything and everything.
Yep, we love those questions that just pop into your head out of nowhere. You know, the ones that make you stop and go, wait a second, how does that actually work? We're here to dig in and find those answers for you. And today's question is an absolute classic. It comes from listener Alex P., who asks, how does a banana get from a farm in Costa Rica to my kitchen in Ohio without turning to mush? Alex, that is such a fantastic question. And the answer? Well, it's this hidden marvel of science and logistics. So let's get into it. To really get to the bottom of Alex's question, we need to follow one single banana on what is, no joke, an epic journey across the globe. A journey that's timed with military-like precision. The secret to this whole operation, the thing that makes it all possible, is something called the cold chain. It's this continuous, temperature-controlled supply line that every single banana you've ever eaten has gone through. It's an invisible system, but it's what makes our modern grocery stores possible. So where does this incredible journey begin? Well, it doesn't start with the yellow banana we all know and love. Nope, it starts with a very, very green one. Okay, so the world's bananas mostly come from tropical countries, places like Ecuador and Costa Rica. And here's the key. They are always harvested when they're still green. This is completely intentional. It's the whole secret to their survival on the long trip. But why? Why pick them before they're ripe? The answer is a little bit of biology. Bananas are what's known as a climacteric fruit. Now, all that means is that they have this amazing superpower. They can be picked when they're fully grown but still unripe, and they'll finish ripening later, off the plant. It's basically like nature gave them a biological pause button that we can control. So after it's picked, a banana's life has 3 acts. Act 1 is green life. The entire mission of the banana industry is to keep the fruit in this stage, this sort of deep sleep, for as long as humanly possible. Then comes Act 2, the climacteric. This is the wake-up call, and once it starts, there's no going back. And finally, Act 3, the eat-ripe stage, the one we're all waiting for. So how on earth do you keep literally millions of bananas in that deep sleep while they're crossing an entire ocean? That brings us to the main event, the Great Cold Journey. And we're not just talking about making things a bit chilly. This is incredibly precise. Just look at these conditions inside the shipping containers. The temperature has to stay in this razor-thin window between 13.3 and 14 degrees Celsius. The humidity has to be super high, like a jungle, and this perfect, delicate balance has to be held for the whole trip, which can be 2, 3, even 4 weeks long. The stakes here are just ridiculously high. So what actually happens if something goes wrong? What if the cooling gets delayed by, say, just 24 hours before the ship even leaves port? Well, the impact is disastrous. This data shows it all. A single 24-hour delay in cooling can wipe out six full days of a banana's green life. When your whole journey is just a few weeks long, losing 6 days is the difference between a perfect shipment and a container full of mush. That first cooldown has to happen, and it has to happen fast. But it's not just about temperature. Shippers have another secret weapon. They actually control the air the bananas are breathing. They use what are called modified or controlled atmosphere systems. This basically means they seal them in special bags or manage the container's air to drop the oxygen levels and raise the carbon dioxide. This puts the banana's metabolism into super slow motion and makes it ignore ethylene, which is the natural gas that acts like an alarm clock, telling it to start ripening. All right, now for the final act. After weeks at sea in a cold, low-oxygen slumber, our bananas have arrived at their destination. They're still hard, and they're still green. It's officially time to wake them up. But you can't just leave them out on the counter. If you did, they'd all ripen at different speeds, and they'd get this kind of dull, uneven color. To get that bright, perfectly uniform yellow that we all expect to see at the grocery store, the wake-up call has to be this really carefully controlled scientific process. This all happens in special ripening rooms. They raise the temperature and they introduce that ethylene gas on purpose. And the whole thing is tracked using a super detailed color chart. I mean, they have it down to a science. Shippers and stores use this scale, from stage 1, dark green, all the way to stage 6, full yellow, so they can deliver the fruit at the exact perfect moment for us to buy it. And this technology just keeps getting better. There's a new innovation called in-transit ripening that is a total game changer. Instead of waiting until the bananas get to land, systems like Maersk's Star Ripe can now ripen the fruit perfectly inside the container while it's still in the ocean. This cuts days off the whole process, it saves a ton of energy, and the bananas arrive ready to hit the shelves. It's pretty amazing.
Okay, before we wrap this all up, let's dip back into the FAQ Shack mailbag for one more quick question because it ties everything we've just talked about together perfectly. Listener Sarah writes in with a question I am sure we have all wondered. Why do my bananas turn black and mushy in the fridge? It feels like it should work, right? You're trying to make them last longer. But it does the exact opposite. And the reason is something called chilling injury. Remember that magic, super precise temperature window we talked about earlier? Well, a banana's cells just are not built for temperatures below about 12.8 degrees Celsius. When it gets colder than that, their cell walls literally burst. That's what causes the skin to turn black, and it completely stops the fruit inside from ever ripening properly. So when you put a banana in the fridge, you're accidentally doing the one thing this entire global industry is designed to prevent.
So that brings us to the end of our journey, and to what I like to think of as the perfect fruit paradox.
Just think about this number for a second. 15 million metric tons of this super delicate fruit get shipped all around the globe every single year. It's the planet's #1 fruit export, and its availability is just something we completely take for granted.
So, to finally answer Alex's question, getting that banana from Costa Rica all the way to Ohio is truly a modern miracle of science, engineering, and logistics. But it also leaves us with one last, much bigger question to chew on. What does this incredible level of control and complexity needed for just one fruit tell us about our entire global food system? Maybe how fragile it is? Definitely something to think about next time you're in the produce aisle.
And that is our deep dive into the incredible journey of the banana. If you've got a burning question that you want us to tackle on a future FAQ Shack, you know what to do. Drop it in the comments below. Thanks so much for tuning in.